Okay, today we're going to talk a little bit more about gold technology because, as I've said before, because God sent me visions in all this and ploughed me full of spirit and literally energized me up. The spirit now leads me into all things. That first amazing thing that happened to me goes on. It's not as intense, but the spirit leads me into all things. That means my thoughts lead me into everything else. When I'll sit there and say, all right, brain, why isn't this working? The spirit tells me. So I did a gold sluicing video showing how you could change from using massive, bulky, expensive magnets down to wires to create a dielectric circuit so that the gold would be flipped out and slowed down in the water by the magnetic field. Well, I started to think about that and I'm thinking, look, gold's not really magnetic, so what is it? And the only true science that I seem to have found so far is action, reaction. If something happens, something else must happen. And if something's not happening, it must be the complete opposite of what was happening. So, and it also kind of explains a lot of, a little bit of the Bible, which I'll get to in a minute. So, an electromagnetic field doesn't seem to affect gold very much. So, I'm thinking to myself, well, it has to be electricity then. So, I went searching like gold and electricity. Gold attracts electricity. What can you find? So, I'm asking the right questions. Now, what I'm about to tell you is not actually new knowledge. This is being done in the gold industry. But I just wanted you to know I knew nothing about it. This is the whole point. I can figure anything out because the spirit leads me directly into it by what I've already been taught. So, what did I find out about if I decided that, well, surely you should be finding or removing gold using electricity? Well, this is what I found. And I'm going to give a couple of shout outs to two other people here because this is not new information that I'm giving you. I'm just showing you what the spirit leads me into, which is everything. So here's two examples of exactly what I'm talking about. So what do we have here? One is a video called Electrostatic Gold Separator. If you go see that video, the guy just rubs the pencil on his head and then he picks up the gold. That was in March 10, 2013. Above that you've got an electrostatic washable furnace filter which collects dust out of the air because electrostatic actually grabs quite a lot. So by trying to find out if that electricity should attract gold because electromagnetism doesn't, I certainly find what I'm looking for. And here also is a shout out to Notorious 222 who put up this that I found on the web. Gold is attracted to static charge the same as iron is attracted to a magnet. And you can go through and read that on there. It's called ELECTRETS and you can make an electret, but it's extremely difficult to actually buy any. And quite a little bit dangerous from what I'm looking at to actually make them. It's as if you're not allowed to know about this kind of information, which is why you can't buy them anywhere except as microphones, which I found was really weird. So yep, this is a shout out to Notorious 222 because he says, I hope someone finds this useful. Give me some credit if you find a use. So there you go, you can read that. He basically says you can pick up gold with static electricity, and that was back in 2014. And then of course you've got your wiki article on ELECTRETS. An electret is a dielectric material that has a quasi-permanent electric charge or dipole polarization. An electret generates internal and external electric fields and is electrostatic equivalent of a permanent magnet. So it's the complete opposite of a permanent magnet. But materials with electric properties were, however, already studied in the early 18th century and then forgotten. One particular example is the electrophorus, a device consisting of a slab with electric properties and a separate metal plate. Blah blah blah. Electrets, like magnets, are dipoles. Another similarity is the radiant fields. They produce an electrostatic field as opposed to a magnetic field around their perimeters. When a magnet and an electret are near one another, a rather unusual phenomenon occurs. When stationary, neither has any effect on one another. However, when an electron is moved with respect to a magnetic pole, a force is felt which acts perpendicular to the magnetic field. Pushing the electret along a path 90 degrees to the expected direction of push will be felt at another magnet. And I've said electricity is a vortex and electromagnetism is a perpendicular wave. So again, the Spirit is leading me into everything, and I understand everything because the Spirit leads me into it and then confirms everything I've been saying for the last 3 years. So if you want to dry wash, I don't know if this would work with water. I don't know how electrostatic things work underwater, but I'm going to find out one day. But if you had a dry wash of all your powders for gold, you blast it through electrostatic plate of some kind, and you will remove all the gold. So this is just so you can actually say, you know what, I think an electret would be actually a better idea than either bulky magnets or a pile of wires. So this is a third example of how you can extract gold, just to prove that I know everything. Well, I don't know everything. The Spirit is leading me into everything, into all knowledge. So I don't want to sound like a big egg because I don't really know anything. I just know how everything moves and how everything should be done. And when I ask the Spirit how it does that, it tells me, because it's not me, it's all God. I'm not bright enough to do all this. God gave me the wisdom and the key, and now I apply the key and it opens everything. So now you know what an electret is, or you can go and have a look at it up. It's an opposite of a magnetic field, and magnetic fields don't affect gold. So if you use electrets to separate your gold or even find it, imagine being able to send an electric signal into the ground that's only going to pick up or it's going to give you a main signal from gold. So again, I'm not really 100% sure how all these work. I just knew that if you did the exact opposite of what you were trying to do, which didn't work, what you were trying to do with the thing that didn't work on the other one, if you use the opposite of that, it's going to work. And it does. So I haven't uncovered anything new. I've basically just shown you that technology is being kept secret from you because you can't find much information on this, and you definitely can't buy a big pile of them. You have to go to some manufacturer to do it. So it all comes down to, this is extra gold technology for you. Basically just proving that it doesn't matter what I turn my mind to, the Lord allows me to figure out how everything works. So I hope this will help a few people in their gold mining technologies, and basically it's something you could do yourself and go and figure out. Thanks very much. My name is Lee, and I follow the Christ and his teachings and his commandments, and he showed me all this in 2014, in April of 2014, for 3 weeks non-stop, day and night. And I only have to go looking for things that I know exist, and they show up. Thanks a lot. Oh, before I go though, I just had a listen, and I remember saying that I was going to talk about some biblical part. Yes. Okay, when Jesus is seen in a vision, when God is seen in a vision, he is described. I'm going to go and check it in a minute. It might be Isaiah. I don't know. I just wanted to get this out before I go find it. It says it's a picture of God. And now we're going to talk about an electrical vortex versus a perpendicular electromagnetic field. Your body, your core, is the vertical vortex. That's where your heart is. That's where everything started. That is the electrical center of your body, which also generates the electromagnetic field, which is perpendicular. Your arms and legs are perpendicular to the original flow of electricity, which means they have been made by an electromagnetic field, while your body core has been made, it's the electrical center. So if you imagine a planet, electricity inside, electromagnetic field around, but there's no DNA code to direct it. But our DNA code, which is designed, sends it out perpendicular to the original flow. And so I'm saying that our body core is the electricity, and our arms and legs are the electromagnetic field that is pushed out perpendicular. Like if you just put out your arms straight at the shoulders, your arms are the perpendicular rollover halo wave that has been DNA coded into your arms with fingers at the end. That's basically what it is. So the description of God is that he has a golden body, and then it goes down to his legs, and you hear that they're all like burnished copper, which again comes down to the gold is electric and the arms and legs are electromagnetism. The electricity attracts the gold, and the arms and legs attract all the other elements, iron and whatever else magnetism attracts, because I haven't really gone and look at that. Steel, all kinds of different things are attracted to magnetism, and this seems to be what God is made of. It says he's got a gold body, and it says his arms and legs are like burnished copper. So that tells me it's kind of two different materials because there's two different things going on, which is what God is trying to explain to us throughout the whole Bible. There's an electricity and there's electromagnetism through matter, which is what Jesus is. He is the embodiment of the word through matter. So he has a gold center, so to speak, and his coppery arms are iron and copper and any other precious metal you want to make of it. They're all magnetic, but the core isn't, because it's electricity. So okay, now I'm going to go and try and find the scripture. Okay, so here we go. I was pretty close. Ezekiel declares, above the expanse over their heads was what looked like a throne of sapphire, and high above on the throne was a figure like that of a man. I saw that from what appeared to be his waist up, he looked like glowing metal, as if full of fire, which could be thought of as a yellowy golden fire, and that from there down he looked like fire, and brilliant lights surrounded him, like the appearance of a rainbow on the clouds on a rainy day, which is the electromagnetism. So was the radiance around him. His head and hair were like white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were a blazing fire. His feet were like bronze glowing in a furnace, and his voice was like the sound of rushing waters, which is electricity. You think of the sound of rushing water, and now you think of the sound of when you hear arcing electricity. Or like a TV turned up with every single sound in the universe at the same level. White noise. In his right hand he held 7 stars. Out of his mouth came a two-edged sword, which is the word that he speaks, and his face was the sunshine in all its brilliance. So great words. So yeah, we've got, fire above and bronze below. So this is only one description of it. You can take that as it is, but God is trying to explain to us that everything is an electromagnetic event caused by him by sending energy into a EM field web universe, his dragnet. The dragnet that God says he's going to pull us all in by. We are caught in the net and we are sorted like fish on a beach. That's because every electromagnetic field in the universe runs through all matter. Matter was here. The field was inside. God turned it on, let there be light, and now energy runs through the system of wires. And that's how it all works. Thanks very much. My name is Lee, and I follow Jesus.